Hello, guys, and welcome to the STiKS 1v1. I have a very special guest today, someone that's not a stranger to the STiKS channel or my channel, but someone that we haven't seen in a while, and I'm kind of excited that he gave me the opportunity today to ask him your guys' questions. And he's sticking something on the screen. uh, so, do you want to say hello, Hex?
Hello, Hex.
Would you like to say hello to the people watching?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Uh, it's been a while. Last time I was here was for a regular stick show, so it's my first 1v1. Hopefully, not the last one. I had a pretty good 1v1 record in Call of Duty 4 when I created and started competitive sniping in shipment. Rules of the cross cannot be in the middle while somebody spawns. Cheater.
Well, thank you for your enlightenment of COD 4. It was funny because actually, right before we started the show, I was looking on Twitter and someone was like, "Did you pay Hex to come on your show?" I was like, "No." It's like Hex loves doing stuff like this. Like this is one of the funnest parts of our community. I think is collaborating.
Yeah,
And
but you have my PayPal info, right?
yeah, I do actually.
Okay. All right.
I'll send you mine too. The way that the 1v1 works, for those of you guys who've never seen it before, and for you, Hector, if you haven't seen it before, is basically I'm going to ask you a few questions of my own, and then I'm going to start just rattling off questions from Twitter. Goalie's going to put them on the screen so that you guys at home can see. And if we somehow, this has never happened, but if we run out of like questions before time, then we'll ask you guys some questions from the chat, or I'll get some more questions from Twitter. But I have plenty, so I don't think that's going to happen. So
Is there a time limit in this thing, or how does this work?
we have till 7:30 your time, I think.
That's good.
Yeah, so we have
All right,
almost
so
an hour.
yeah, that's good. See, that's one of the reasons I don't do these sort of shows because it's done when it's done. There's no we cut it out. I'm going until everybody's tired and ready to go to bed. So,
Yes, I
so
remember when you came on the sticks, and we went very, very, very long.
yeah, yeah.
And I
I
Go ahead.
figured if I don't block out my time to show up somewhere, let's have a good time and
Yeah.
let's just let the good times roll.
Well, yeah. I told goalie, I said, Evan, chill, bro. I told goalie, I said, well, if we're gonna do a show with Hex, I was like, we have to stretch it because him and I both can talk a lot. And
Yeah, I'm
so,
long-winded for sure.
all right. So my first question is, Optic in this game, Optic Gaming, and I'm talking about the team Optic Gaming, is the most sub to, the most followed, and now the winningest team that exists in Advanced Warfare. They've won online, on LAN. Somebody subbed. I don't know who you are, but thank you, Breaking Bold or Breaking Bond, for subbing. Welcome to the Sticks fam. Put some hitches in the chat, some Kingdom Froze in the chat for Breaking Bond. My question for you is: with all of that success,
Yeah.
what decisions would you say most led to where Optic is today?
The decision to always be patient, always have a goal in mind, and do not deviate from the plan. Always have a plan of action. Set your sight and just go after it. No matter how long it takes, if you're patient, no matter what comes up, no matter what sort of decisions get thrown at you,
Yeah,
just stick the course, and eventually you'll get there. And that's like my number one decision. I could have thrown money at players way early on in 2013, at the beginning of 2013, to make stuff happen and get it there, but I just stuck the course, and eventually it's self corrected in a sense. When you have good teammates like Seth, and good teammates like Nate Shot, or like Merc and Big Timer in the early days, Merc,
yeah.
Rambo, in the early days. If you have pillars that you can support a team on, then it's all about patience and waiting for the right things to happen, the right opportunity to arise itself. It's not about buying your way into things. It's about growing organically, and that's always been the key to success, in my opinion. Not forcing our way, into a space, but to become a part of it and then try to excel within the space.
Is that hard to do though with as much success as you guys have had, and because as you go to a new level, there's another level beyond that you have to decide when it's time to chase that. Has that been difficult as like especially this year? You guys have seen so much success. The other things that we know that is always on Optic Hex's mind is the next level, the next step for Optic as an organization, as a brand. Is it difficult to not make that next step, like to not make that leap and to find that timing?
No, the next steps have already started.
Yeah.
I won't go too much into it, but the next steps have already been in place for the last 6 months.
Wow.
It's the evolution of everything, right? And it's the patience, man. It's all about patience.
Yeah.
Uh, to know when to strike, know when to make a certain move, know when to retreat if you have to.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, it's always been like just pushing forward, and luckily we've been very very. I don't want to say lucky. Well, we've been very lucky to understand the game a little bit better and
Yeah.
and to know when to do certain things. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's difficult, of course, if you don't have a clear vision of where you see yourself, your organization, your goals essentially.
Yeah.
So that's priority number one.
Okay.
Knowing where you want to
Patience.
be.
Got you. Patience, patience, patience. Speaking of patience, did it take a lot of patience to bring Killa and Miracles back to the Optic brand?
Oh yeah.
And second part of that question, are you expecting content from them long term?
Yes, yes, and yes. Did it take patience? No, it was an easy decision. Like I've always been a big fan of Killa. As reckless as he is, uh, I tend to have a little bit more patience with him because I like who he is as a person. I like who he is in the space, and sometimes I like how reckless he gets. As
Yeah.
long as it's manageable, and I'm not talking about managed by me, but him himself managing what he says
Yeah.
and how he goes about it. Like I have no problem with it. Like when they were interviewing them after they won, right? It was literally my idea. Well, it was Nate shot. Nisha was sitting behind me. Scumpy was sitting behind me, and then to the left there were some people. I don't want to put on blast, but
Yeah.
we were sitting there, and then they're like, "All right, we're gonna interview Tippy," and I'm like, "Maven, get Killa, Maven," and then Nate was like, "Killa, Killa, Killa," and then Scumpy's like, "Killa, Killa, Killa." So as soon as he gets there, we were just waiting. I have my camera ready. We are just waiting, and sure enough, magic happened. So uh, everybody in the chat went wild, right, because of how open
Yeah.
he is. Is it appropriate? It's hard to determine that, right? Like I
Yeah.
always tell my guys that as long as it's in the creative context, according to the essence of the scene, then they're pretty much they can swear if they want, they can do certain things. So just when
Yeah.
it's on paper or on Twitter, that I like for them to be a little bit more careful because that can be taken out of context. So
Yeah.
I figured since it was in the entertainment platform where Maven was leading a conversation interview, I figured the people at home wanted to be entertained, and Kill is nothing but entertaining. So we let that ride. Do we want content from him? Yeah, I can bet you money right now that I have a list of things that I want to do when Killa comes over to land for those 3 days before
Hmm.
before champs.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, we all assumed that that was outside of what you would want for your brand. We all, like everybody watching, was so entertained, but at the same time, we were like, "Oh, I'd love to see Hex's face right now," because I'm sure that that was a little into left field for what he would want. But it's interesting to find out that you kind of expected him to push the envelope a little bit.
What I didn't hear though, because I was laughing so hard after you said I didn't have to do shit, we all started bursting out in laughs. I didn't hear the part where he said the
Yeah.
R word that rhymes with grape. That I'm not cool with, right?
Yeah.
That's something that I we have I have a wife ish,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
fiance. I have a daughter.
Yeah.
That's something that's not it's not something that anyone should joke about. I know that's part of the vernacular as gamers, but
Yeah.
the more we weed it out, the better. So
Yeah.
so
There's some
I didn't hear
things.
it.
Yeah. There's some things that we do that, even though they're entertaining, we shouldn't do them because of the negative connotation that they might have in other circles, like that word that you're talking about. So I agree with you 100%. All right. So speaking of your private life that you just mentioned,
Yeah,
how do you, because your private life is private, how do you
100%.
how do you balance? And I think it was Holly Live was saying that about Karma, that he never tweets pictures of Bella, but she does all the time. Like
Hmm.
I mean, and she can't not, but he never does it. And but he has, like 5 pictures of her on his desk when he's playing. How do you separate and how do you balance, because their lives are so separate? How do you balance that?
Well, I think in Holly's case is like perfectly like more than okay. It's her like she's the mom. Ultimately, she decides what she wants to do. Karma obviously has way more followers, and maybe he feels differently, right? It's like even with Judith, my fiance, like she recently just got on Twitter
Saw that. Yeah.
and started tweeting, and that's because I've always told her, right, like just because I choose to be a public figure does not mean that you have to be the same. You have to be in front of people. Doesn't mean that you have to tell everybody, your every waking moment what you're up to, right? Like
Yeah.
it is something that I chose to do, and that's not something that I'm going to impose on them. Certainly not my daughter. So that's the only reason. I have a picture of my daughter on my visor. I have a picture of my daughter on my phone. I
Yeah.
mean, not that I need them, right? Like my daughter's always with me. She's
Yeah.
my everything in this life. She is it in my life, right? So it's just a matter of if she ever tells me, Dad, let's make a video together, and I'd be like, sure. She's seen me make videos, right? She's seen me do
Yeah.
vlogs, etc. And then when I go, she'll tell Judith, like, Mom, I want to make a video. So my wife will get up there and start recording or doing whatever. But
Yeah.
as far as being uploaded to YouTube, that's something that maybe goes down the line. But again, it's their choice whether or not they want to be in the public eye.
So what you're saying is because you're on the public eye, that doesn't mean you're going to force them to be in the public eye.
Correct.
So you give them the opportunity. That actually makes sense. So today, I got two more questions for me, and then I'm going to jump into the questions from Twitter. But today, CS:GO tournament was this morning, ESL, and I don't remember how to say the word. It's like Katowice or however you say it.
Katowice.
That's how it looks, but I hear them saying it on stream, and I'm like, what are you saying? Like
It's
this sounds
Katowice. It's in Poland.
yeah, Polish, whatever it is. And so CS:GO pops on the screen this morning. 500,000 people, 500,000 are watching the first day of this tournament. 500,000.
Yeah.
And I started to ask myself the question, like, what is the deal? Like, why is CS:GO so popular? And for those watching, a video with my answer to that will be out after this 1v1. But my question for you is there something we're not doing in console games that is causing PC gaming to be like LOL, Dota, CS:GO, to have that level of success and viewership?
It's a global sport. Call of Duty is not. The fact that you can't buy an Xbox in China, that just puts us way behind.
That's a good point.
That's the answer. CS:GO has been played for such a long time
Yeah.
that it resurfaced and it's doing great. It's successful, and that's awesome, right? It's a first person shooter, which is good for Call of Duty, and it's good. I'm really happy for that community and how they rallied behind Valve and anybody that's behind the actual game that has made it this popular. Are we doing something wrong? No, not really. I think that we're doing okay. I think that we should apply a little bit more pressure on other teams to try to do a little bit more to feed their audience so their audience can grow. I've always said it in every interview. I've always said it to any team owner that I talk to. Anytime there's more than a couple of team owners having a meeting or anything, the second that we have three optic sized teams, we're there. We're there.
Yeah.
We're that close, and that's without the help of the developers. I I do appreciate obviously Activision and Xbox getting together once a year and putting something together for us. But I also think that there should be some sort of regulation where the players have a say in it. The fact that they just released a new map and they just threw it at us and said, "Yo, this is what you guys are playing now." I think that's a little bit not irresponsible. Like I get it, as a business and as a
Yeah.
businessman,
Yeah.
100% get it, right?
Yeah.
But I can argue both sides of the fence because I'm Mexican. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I can argue both sides of the fence because I know what it is, right? I know what it is to manage a professional team, and I know what it is to manage a business. So I'm completely there with them, and it's about like anything else is about finding the happy medium.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a little piece of my opinion on the matter is that we're doing the best with the package that we're given. CS:GO, like Global Offensive, came out in 2012. It's the same game. They added silencers and some maps and stuff like that. But it's basically the same game. The casters have learned and casted the same game. The players have been basically playing the same game, and our players every single year and our casters have to learn something brand new. And even if you like a Call of Duty, as a competitive player, you basically have to abandon the one you liked to go
Mhm.
on to the next game. And I think it's one of the reasons why Call of Duty players have such an ease of playing tournament, and then going to H1Z1 or going and playing CS:GO because we're trained to abandon a game every year. We're trained to let something go. And so I think that part of the success of CS:GO is that when it became popular, it's just growing from that base.
Yeah.
We're almost reinventing our base and our foundation every year. And if someone really genuinely doesn't like Call of Duty Ghosts or whatever, it's not the COD 4 days. We're going to play the same game 2 years in a row. But it's like, okay, what are the usable streaks? You got Riley. You've got this little extra dude that runs on the map. We can't use any of this. All right, no streaks. And so it changes the game so much that I feel like it creates a challenge that we have to work against. And I agree with you that teams got to step up. There has to be, and I'm looking at, if in my mind when you said three, I would think of you guys, Denial and Envy. Denial has sport. They're in Halo. They're in Call of Duty. They're in CS:GO. I believe they're in LOL as well. And then you have Envy that has just recently gone into CS:GO, and they have their Call of Duty team. And so I think instead of branching up in Call of Duty, they've decided to branch out. And so, however it happens, I think Call of Duty will, in the long run, benefit from all of the growth as long as we figure this thing out. Because even the next game, is it going to have exosuits or not? So there's another challenge that it presents for us. My last question for you is regarding
Last question.
of mine, of
Uh,
my personal questions.
well, I would like to say that I disagree with what you just said. But it's a little bit more difficult for somebody in my position to voice his opinion as loudly as I'd like to. I
Yeah.
have voiced it to the certain team owners about the thing, but again, there's no way that I would ever let somebody tell me how to run my business. So I make a very very clear job and good job to make sure that I don't do the what I don't like to be done to me. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's I don't know.
You're
Well,
saying you're saying you do to others what you would want. Like you treat them the
done
way
to
you
me.
want to
Yeah,
be treated, basically.
the same way that I want it. Yeah.
All right, I feel you. So the last question is basically this is a personal advice question. Goalie and I have been teamed up for over a year now, doing the STiKS, which of course was kind of founded on an idea that you pitched to me that we ran with, made it live, and changed some stuff. We've really strengthened our brand. We've got 3 shows now a week. We've got a fourth and a fifth that we're conceptualizing to come out in the next 3 or 4 months, that are going to, kind of help feed the demand in the community for more consistent esports talk shows. And we've done some successful apparel stuff and stuff like that. My question for you is, as we attempt, not as a team, but as a brand in general, as we attempt to continue to secure our spot in the future, because we want to be here for the long run. This isn't like a short term thing for us. We want to solidify this as something that 5 years from now I can see, a STiKS desk at Champs or on ESPN or something like that. So my question for you is there any advice that you could offer me to make sure that we're making the right decisions or focusing on the right things as we grow?
Well, I think you answered your question on your own. You just said where you want to be, which is eventually having a desk at Champs where you can do analysis or whatever
Yeah.
have you. And you also said ESPN, which is something that's definitely attainable, especially now with the bridging of the gaps of traditional media and online media, having like X Games, etc.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's just a matter of never ever looking away from your goal and just keep going towards it. So
All right. Thank you. All right, we're gonna. What time is it? Okay, we got time. We're gonna run a couple of questions from Twitter. So the first one comes from Genetic Alpha. All right, let me open this link, and it doesn't want to open on my computer. Goalie, I hear you laughing. This is not funny. Goalie, do you have this tweet from Genetic Alpha? All right, go ahead and put it on the screen. You can read it to me because I can't see it for some reason. All right, Michael King Arts. He must have. Why do people do that? They submit questions and then delete them. All right, we're going to the next question from Michael King Arts, and this question says the best moment since. What is your best moment since starting Optic Gaming? Your most memorable moment.
I don't remember the exact date, although I should. But it was the day that I decided to to leave my job as an account analyst at AIG to pursue this as a full-time thing. Definitely. As scary as that was, as uncertain as everything was, with everything that I had going around, it was like one of the realest moments I've ever had, and one of my proudest moments. You know,
Yeah.
jumping feet first and just going for it. So that's definitely the best moment I've ever had as being a part of Optic.
Now, at that moment, was that like, okay, I'm giving my 2 week notice, or was that like you just started the process of leaving, or did you
No,
actually?
well, no, well, yeah, it was the same thing. No, no, the the day that I left was already at the end of the 2 week
Oh,
notice.
okay, okay.
I think it was 2 weeks. I don't remember those things. The only thing I remember is that I was gonna start doing something that I was gonna start doing an opportunity instead of an actual thing. It was the first time in my
Yeah,
life at 29 years old that I decided that, hey, what I've been doing for the last 18 years, the safety net that I had in corporate America is no longer going to be there. Your insurance
yeah,
is no longer there. Your secure job, if you do your job, is no longer going to be there. It's just going to be you and you and you and you, and you got to make it happen.
yeah. That's amazing. That's an inspirational moment. So the next question comes from at Crazy Creek, but spelled with an X. And his question is: have you thought any more about an Optic CS:GO team?
Yeah, obviously, right? Just like the same way that I think about an Optic LOL team, and how much is going to cost to get into that, and do you want to do that, or like the CS:GO thing is like the easiest transition that we can do. It's a matter of deciding whether or not to buy to buy my way into it or to pick up a small team and grow that. I love to grow things, right? It's one of my. There's nothing better than to organically
Yeah,
make something happen. Uh, and yeah, it's a toss up, right? It's going to come down to a coin flip, I'm sure. So do I go for it, get a small team, and build it up? Um, I have such a passion for building things that I'm leaning more towards maybe picking up a either a player to build around or a team to build up. It's
you're just being patient, basically.
yeah, just waiting for the right moment to strike.
And if the right opportunity presents itself and it is a team, then maybe you'll take that opportunity.
Of course,
Who knows?
we'll see.
All right, next
Stay
question.
tuned.
We will. Next question is from Corey Wise. Corey
There you have it,
underscore
Tony.
Wise.
Yeah, yeah, I know Corey Wise. That's my buddy.
Yeah, he's a pretty frequent tweeter at me. He asked, "What is your 5 year plan for Optic? Maybe you can say 5 year goals, or do you just do year to year? If so, if there is a 5 year plan, what is it?"
There is no time in anything that we do. There's no time in anything that we do. There's a goal, and then there's a path. However long it takes us to get through that path is however long it takes us. There's no time frame. But what are the goals? Stay tuned. Not like you have a choice.
Let,
You
let me
just have to
let,
watch.
let me
You
let me
can't help but to watch.
let me follow that up with a question that I have. You keep your cards very close to your chest. You are very clear that you're always thinking and planning something, but
Mhm.
you're not clear about what that is. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But is that something you learned from outside of esports that has, because it's also led to a lot of success for you guys? Where I was telling Goalie, I was like, hey, yes, we're picking up Crim and Formal. They're at the house. Look at this picture. These are
Mhm.
our guys. You guys seem to make decisions, and you've of course been thinking about them, planning them for a long time, because like you said, you have a vision, you have something you see, and however long it takes you to get there, you're going to walk that path. And so where did you get that philosophy from, or where did you adopt that from?
Corporate America, I guess it's first mover advantage. It's
Yeah.
a very popular thing, and it's not that we would be at a disadvantage if we spoke about it. And it's not. I don't do it to be cool. I don't do it to be secretive. I just it's just something that's part of the game. You sometimes you're able to tell people everything. Sometimes you're not. Um, but everything that I do in interviews and anything like there's clues everywhere. Just like
This seems like an Illuminati statement. I know people are going to type this in the chat. So This next question is a very simple one from the Dark Chris, and he asks, "Is Optic Nation the official Optic Nation?"
What does that mean?
So there is a normally when
Yeah.
Optic Gaming announces when Optic Gaming picks up some players or has a team or something like that, a roster, there's an announcement that kind of comes from Optic. This is I'm
Yeah.
telling a backstory that I don't know if it's the truth, but I'm just gonna go
Sure.
with it. And we haven't seen that necessarily with this Optic Nation squad. And there is a contingency in the community that believes that this is the champs squad. There is not and this is not the sure thing for post champs. Like, is this going to be now? I know that on your site, optic.tv, I have seen, or Optic Intel, that you have them listed as your roster. And I guess my question is this a probationary period for Miracles and Killa, or are they there? And this is going to be the roster going forward.
I mean, how do you answer that? I mean, I thought that that was already like answered. I thought that was like a thing that we do. I mean, I didn't know that everybody was waiting for me to be like, oh, this is the official announcement.
Well, it's
That
not.
that was
Yeah, I don't think people are waiting. I just think that there is a. We saw how they left, and um, we know how important family is to the Optic organization. You've spoken about it time and time and time and time and time again. Loyalty and family is like those are, if there was values for your organization, they'd probably be on the list somewhere. And
yeah.
so, if there was some disloyalty demonstrated when they left the team in the past, I guess the question is, have you welcomed them back with what happened?
But,
Oh gosh.
yeah. I mean, I thought it was yeah. So with the loyalty stuff, Miracles came to me and said, it's not working out, right? They were under the impression that like that I was never gonna let go of Embos, which is completely correct. I'm never gonna let go of Embos because Embos is not somebody that you let go of because he's a part of you, right? So you can't just let. He's not. He's he's not. You know what I mean? He's not like a. I don't have him on the team as a professional player. He's part of the organization and whatever role he wants to fulfill. So when they left, they it wasn't working with Embos and they left. Little did they know that Embos was going to be like sick at the game later down in the thing. It's something that I talked to Karma and TP. Embos was going to be this good. And Embos is a part of the Optic Gaming organization. Period. End of
Yeah.
story. Right. So they were on the assumption that as far as the pro team goes, that Embos there wasn't going to be a possibility of that. So Miracles came and told me ahead of time. He said, "Yo, man, I'm planning on leaving." I'm like, "Sure, of course, man. You want to leave Optic? That's your choice, right?"
Yeah.
Sure. Like, see you later. Uh, and then Kill is the one that didn't tell me that he was leaving, but I hit him up. I'm like, man, that's a little bit messed up, man. Like, we're cool. I like to consider ourselves a little bit of friends. So you should have told me straight up. It's not like I was gonna be like, oh, you this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Uh, but such is Killer, right? You gotta take him as he is.
Yeah.
There's no changing him, and you don't want to change him. So as far as loyalty goes, they did it the right way. It wasn't like the way the Scumpy did it, for example, way back when he was a little kid. Um, but such like Scumpy is like has always been one of my favorites, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that scenario. So as far as loyalty goes, like one thing, it's not like when Pomage left. When Pomage left, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this kid just got his pair of Astros
Yeah.
and dipped, right? But
Yeah.
I tease him constantly and all the time. There's not a day goes by when I hang out with him. Then we don't bring it up. Nate Chat always brings it like, yo, hey, Hex, you remember when Pomage left us? That's fucked up, right? Oops, that's my F word. Um,
You got one.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's not like that. It's no big. It wasn't that complicated. It's just hey, we could have the Farico team plus TP instead of Parasite.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do it.
All right. I feel you. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll see you on the other side of 60 seconds. And we got about 5 to 6 questions left that we're going to get to. If you guys have some questions, you can throw them to me on Twitter. If they're better than the ones we pull up, I may use yours. We'll see you guys on the other side. Peace. All right, welcome back. We have a very interesting question from Twitter. If you guys haven't been watching the STiKS 1v1 and you're new to the show, we're just asking Hex questions from Twitter that were submitted by you guys yesterday. And so this next question says, it's from at K Swole. And he says, there's a myth going around that Crim6 actually smiled. Is it true?
Oh, I make that dude smile all day long, but he's under strict instructions to not do it on camera.
To maintain his, like,
Yeah, no, and you know what it is? At first, I'm like, we tell like Embos before he come on the team, he never smiled. He was always
yeah,
that little thug wannabe kid. And we're like, yo, come on, man, you gotta smile. You gotta smile. You got a good smile. You got good teeth. You're presentable. You're a good dude. Smile. And sure enough, dude's the happiest dude ever. Like
yeah,
you don't ever. I mean, the only time you don't see him smiling is when we're picking on him, or when Matt tells him, it's like, yo, go do this, and he's like, man, he gets mad, and like, you go do it, and then it gets serious. But with Crim6, like he's one of the funniest dudes I know
yeah,
for sure, right?
yeah.
Does he get reckless? Yes. Does he not always listen? Yes. Is he a top two player in the game? Hell yes. So do you tell him anything? I mean, you try to, right?
Yeah.
But we have a really good relationship with him. He's funny. We like hanging out with him. But when he gets on camera, like he falls, he goes right into character, right? Like he does not smile.
He's a robot.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
the Crimbot cannot become anything other than the Crimbot.
yeah, like could we make him smile? For sure. I do it all the time, but it's good.
Were you proud of his montage that Snipetality made?
I think that his montage is one of the best montage Call of Duty has ever seen because it was 46 minutes long or something like that. No one up until that point had thought about or even said, hey, you know what? I'm going to be nuts. I'm going to put an hour long montage of how awesome I am. And I think that anybody could have done it. As bad as people are, somebody could have done it, and it would have been like, oh my god, I want to watch it because it's 46 minutes long. Uh, just because it's 46 minutes long, but the
Yeah.
fact that this is like action packed, like from beginning to end, it was definitely commendable. So I was very proud of him for it. Yeah,
It was like watching a movie. I mean, Snipetality, and to hear that Crim didn't see the thing completed until the day it came out, like that just blew my mind. That he made a video that's 46 minutes long, and Crim told him to keep it to like 10, and said, "Hey, this is it." And Crim's like, "Okay." And then now it's almost 500,000 views, and it was a work of art in my opinion. I've watched it 3 times. A great career. Now I'm waiting for. I tweeted the other day. I'm waiting for the duo Taj of Stump and Nate. I would watch that no matter how long it was. They just have had a storied career, and the perfect. It's not the ending, but a perfect ending to that would be the success that they're seeing right now in AW. So,
Mhm.
just throwing that idea out there. The next question comes from at Il Bass Assassin, and he said, "What would be better, winning COD champs or catching a world record bass?"
uh, the reason I can't answer that is because I don't know if you're asking me as individually or
No, if your team won COD champs, or if you individually caught a world record bass, like the largest bass, largemouth bass ever caught.
I guess that answers the question, right? I would love to. Oh man, that's one of the best would you rather
Yeah.
questions I've ever had, and I'm trumped, right? On the one hand, I'm like, you know what? I've done so much for my organization that I think it's hex time. I would go with catching a world record bass
All right. Good to know. I think
because
that would go ahead.
because it's not like I'm the one playing, so I think that's a safe thing because they're gonna win regardless whether I'm here or not. So I'm gonna go with the bass.
All right. Maybe both could happen somehow.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
All right. So the next question comes from at Clingers, with a weird way of saying it, but you guys see it on the screen. And he asked, you and Nate said on the OG Reddit yesterday, but this was yesterday, so it's 2 days ago, that Crim and Formal never would have been on Envy anyway. Is there any explanation you can provide to that statement
Uh,
without diving into?
yeah, I don't know where the rumors came from that they were gonna go to Envy. Um,
that was because of the whole formal like JCap getting dropped and then picked back up and formal getting and then formal leaving Envy. There was a little bit of a rumor that formal was going to take Krim with him to Envy no matter what, no matter who they had to drop in the Envy organization. That formal and Krim are going to end up there. That was the rumor.
Yeah, at that time, that particular time, the decisions had already been made. It was just that the community was not privy to these decisions.
Yeah, all the stuff behind the scenes was being worked out.
It was already worked out.
Oh wow. How long? So what is? Let me ask you this, if you can say, what is the purpose of the waiting to announce it once
Mm,
it's officially done?
it depends. Sometimes it's contractual. Sometimes it's just
Uh,
a thing out of respect for a different organization that you don't want to announce before they have something to announce. You don't ever, especially with Envy, right? Because Haster and I are like
yeah,
good friends, and I say this all the time. If Haster and I did not have rival organizations, and even now, like I don't think it's that serious, right? But if he and I did not have rival, he'd be one of my bestest friend in the world, right? But and I'm not saying that he isn't now. It's just that there's always that
yeah.
competitiveness where you're like, we're like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, how do I? So it's weird, but we make good of it, right? Like when they won a championship in what was it, season three finals or something
Yeah,
last year where they
yeah,
won in Columbus.
right before
Like I
Columbus.
had cigars ready and we smoked a stogie together in celebration for for his win. Um, but yeah, it's especially with like Envy. Like yeah, I wasn't gonna make an announcement like this is happening. Like it's one of those like agreements in a sense that you have with your friends. Where like all right,
Yeah.
we do certain things a certain way because of friendship.
So I'm guessing you've congratulated him on the purchase of one of the best teams in CS:GO.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, they're doing great this weekend so far. We'll see how they do in the tournament long term, but it looks like they're one of those that people are saying could win.
Well, of course. I mean, they won the gold medal, of course.
Yeah, they're a great team. All right, next question comes from Jake Cookie, and he says, "If Epsilon moved to the NA also, do you think the EU scene will begin to die?"
Uh, I don't know. I think it's so unfair, and I say this all the time, right? Like, once you brought Swanee over, like, and he was playing on
Yeah,
Optic Nation, everybody saw how good he was, right? That the pool of talent over there like the only reason that some American teams or the top three American teams are always able to go to Europe and sometimes wipe the floor is because they don't get to compete against them all the time. For us, we have the top organizations in the United States, and we play against each other daily, right? If
yeah,
European organizations had the same opportunity, you're only going to be as good as your competition, right? And then at that point, you get to a plateau, and then there's going to be that extra 1% that makes you better than anybody else. If they had a chance to compete, and I say that about the Spaniards all the time, right? It's like the Giants, I think is what they're called. If they had a chance, if every single team that is a professional team, whether it's in Australia, India, Spain, UK, wherever, if they had a chance to compete against the best here in the United States on a weekly basis, you would see a lot more European teams at
hmm
a different level than somebody else. I would not be surprised if that was the case.
But would you agree with me, and you might not, but that if we take the best of the different regions, continents, and bring them to the North American scene
Mhm.
so that they can be more competitive, like TCM is doing. Doesn't that diminish the talent pool outside of the U.S.? Because now they're not only not playing against the NA players, they're not playing against the best EU players. So the teams that are in the EU, if TCM and Epsilon were in the NA, their talent would stagnate. It would be stagnant, and it's one of the reasons why I believe that the other teams in other countries should still be allowed to play in COD champs as much as people are like, well, it should just basically be a North American contest because those are the best teams in the world. It should be EU and NA. The other teams, Call of Duty, like you said in the very beginning, CS:GO is global. In order for Call of Duty in general to grow in a lot of these nations, we got to allow them, even with their lack of thumbs, to play against us and to improve and get better, even if it's only once a year to start out. So that's my personal opinion on the whole thing of EU coming over here. I think the thing that TCM is doing is it's big and it's bold and it may have a good impact. And long term, when they get rid of the jet lag, they may actually keep up. Like you said, they may get better and keep up. They may finish top 8 in the COD league. I'm kind of interested in seeing how that works out. But I don't know if it's going to, and I think the question the guy was asking is it going to start to diminish the EU Call of Duty scene if the best teams fly over the water and come over here?
I don't know. It's hard for me to answer. I think that Call of Duty as a whole would benefit as far as like local competitions. Do they? I don't even know if they have them. Right.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. Like if
that's a good point.
I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have like we have MLGs every so often. We have UMGs every so often. So I don't know if they have the same thing. I don't know there was EGL and I think Gfinity is now trying to do something like that. Is it gonna diminish that pool? Sure. I mean, but is TCM like the best team out there, or is Epsilon right? Like who won the European championships? Do you remember who it was?
Epsilon.
Right, not TCM. So the best is still out there,
Yeah.
right? Will TCM eventually be better than Epsilon because of who they're practicing against? 100%, absolutely. And again, I'll bring it back to Swanee, right? He had a top 3 KD until he got knocked out at Orlando, and they're just proof, right? It's who you play against and how often you play against that will ultimately determine how good you're gonna plateau,
No, I feel you, and I think
in
I'm
my opinion.
I'm interested. No, that's a good opinion. I'm interested in seeing how TCM works out. I mean, I think there's drama surrounding how they got here, but I'm interested to see how it works out when they're actually over here and they get used to our sleep schedule, which is I would imagine on the human body that's got to be like pretty traumatic, like going over 30 days where you're changing almost by 8 hours to 10 hours your sleep schedule. That's got to be awkward, but once they get used to it and
A
start
good night
playing,
of, a good night of drinking will take care of that.
that'll just reset your whole like
Absolutely. Do not underestimate the power of a hangover, okay, pal?
wisdom from Hex. All right, so the next question comes from at Accent Intel, and he says, "How do you stay motivated?"
It's like that question for me is like easy to answer but hard to express.
Hmm,
How do I stay motivated? Goals, man, goals. If you're not there yet,
yeah,
nothing is ever complete. You'll never be content. And that's where I'm at right now. Everybody on my team is there, right? Like hey, like even Nate shot, right? You think that being the most successful esports player in the world would
yeah,
say that like, all right, he's hit it, he's there, but he's always acting like he's number two. He's always outworking people behind him. He's always acting like he's the one chasing something. The only thing that I can relate it is that there's certain things that only you see and only you know when you're going to be done. And I can give you the perfect example. In Mario Kart Double Dash, I don't know if you guys ever played it, but if you played
yep,
it on the single player mode, the faster in the laps you got,
hmm,
the closer you got to something, right? You didn't know, so you just kept on beating. And then once you beat your best record, a little ghost appeared, which was the track record, the fastest that you can run that track in,
hmm,
and that's what essentially it is. You beat everybody, you beat your own records, you beat everything, but there's always that one thing that there's a better way to run that lap, and that's what you're chasing. Luckily, or if you could take it metaphorically, luckily, there was a ghost there that showed you like, hey,
yeah,
you can do it better. It could be
yeah.
faster. Um, and seeing my surroundings and seeing everything else, I know that there's better out there, and I'm gonna get it in due time.
So you're almost saying like, sorry, I had to my wife and I have developed a system that if we kiss our kids like finger or whatever when they hurt it, it just automatically fixes the problem. So it's
Yeah.
like they'll be crying and screaming, and we'll just kiss their finger, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna go back and play." So it's almost like doing the same thing, but finding a way to do it better. Like even if you're repeating the same thing, whether it's uploading YouTube videos, playing Call of Duty, find a way to do it better. And that's one of the things that I think was amazing is that one map was dropped, and I think it was Krim that tweeted, "We still have some stuff to work on." And I was like, "What? You dropped one map, you know, to phase red?" And it was like, "Well, we still have stuff to work on." And that's one of the things I appreciate in. I don't like to get on the soapbox because, I get all the fanboy quotes about me come out, but I think what people underestimate is, and it's Drifter that kind of enlightened me, is that how hard it is to not just play competitively every day, day in, day out, and improve, but then to, on top of that, stream and upload YouTube videos. And the amount of work that like Seth and Matt put into what they do, and Krim, and Karma, the amount of work that those guys put into what they do, making YouTube videos and entertaining us,
And
while at the
Embos
and
and
Embos.
TP
Well, Money
and
B is on
Big
a
Timer
yeah,
and Optic Hex. I mean, again, you're only gonna get out of this whatever you squeeze out of it. If you're not squeezing, you don't get out. There's always a little bit more juice that you can get out of it, and it's up to you to do it, right? Like
yeah,
and like I said it before, man. Like my position in this company in a sense is CEO, but sometimes the C and CEO stands for cameraman. Sometimes I stream. Sometimes I make videos. It's a never ending thing. The second that you become complacent, the second that you just say, you know what, we did it, boys, we did it, is when somebody's gonna come back and take your place. And
yeah,
if somebody ever comes along and takes our place, they deserve it, 100%, because there is nothing ever that's going to be standing in me and my team's way. We have a vision, we have a goal. If somebody comes and takes it, they deserve it because there's no way that we're letting go of this.
yeah. A good example of your cameraman was you in the bathroom interviewing Sharp in the bathroom stall.
Yeah,
That was I was like, is this Hex doing an interview? What?
yeah. The thing with that is it was a little bit of a showing the Intel team that you don't need a cameraman, an editor, and something else to just release content. It's all about being in the moment. I did
Yeah,
all that with like I remember flying out like three people. We had four people total there, helping with cameras, helping with this, helping with that. And to be fair, it's not like they would have the same sort of access that I have with the players because of who
who
I
you
am.
are. Yeah,
Yeah, but at the same time, like I wanted to show them that like yeah, if you really want it, you're gonna make it happen. So I
yeah,
knocked out a couple of videos, knocked out. I don't know. I made videos for myself, made videos for that channel, and I got it done. If you want it bad enough, if you're gonna do something, do it. It's just do it. No,
yeah.
no, no, no excuses.
Is that working out for you as a venture? Like, I know I asked you when you originally bought it, but
Yeah.
like when you originally got CETV or whatever it was called, but is it working out for you, or you guys just continue to figure out how best to utilize that
Yeah,
opportunity?
yeah. It's just like anything else, man. It's a project, an ongoing project.
Yeah,
So we'll see where we land on that. I think it's a fun thing to do. I think there's a need for it.
yeah,
I know there's a want for it. So it's just a matter of like finding the right people
do
to
it.
be as passionate about it as I am about that particular vision.
Yeah. So the next question comes from at M_7A, and I guess it's probably Tank, but it's a seven. And he says, "What TV channel do I tune into to watch Optic on TV? It's just a matter of time, right?"
I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah, the amazing thing is there isn't another team
Mhm.
in in my opinion, in esports. I don't care if it's LOL, Dota. There's another team in esports that has a better opportunity than Optic to go that route, to actually do a reality television, to be seen on the big screen and not the little screen, the monitor.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I think everybody as individuals has their own little quirks that makes them them,
Yeah.
and as such, there's always people are always gonna watch, no matter what. Like I know absolutely zero about League of Legends, but I watched every single episode of TSM's reality show on YouTube.
Hmm.
I didn't know any of the players until I started watching it. Like, all
And you
right, this is
learned,
this
yeah.
is yeah. I mean, this is if there's a storyline, people are gonna follow. Um, so I don't necessarily think I know that obviously if something like that was to happen, that a lot of people will benefit from it, not just optics. So it's just like anything else. If let's say Phase or TK or whoever is
Hmm.
out there got an opportunity that put more eyes on this thing, then I would benefit from it, guarantee it, right? Because of the position that we're in, and just like anything else, like the audience that we bring to the table, everybody benefits from, right? There's more eyeballs on the thing. Like there's organizations that sell the tournament viewership, right? Like
Yeah.
they'll go out and be like, hey, you know, on any given time, it depends on who we're playing. We can display your logo on our jersey to 30,000 people. Depends on who we're playing against. Sometimes 100,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, we're lucky enough to be able to do that with or without a tournament. So that's one of our strengths. But you know, there's opportunity for everybody. It's just finding the best way to sell something.
No,
That's all I'll say. That's enough help. That's all I'll say.
hey, I'm, these are all rewatchable. For people that are like, what did Hex say? I gotta rewind that and watch it again. So the last question I have from Twitter is from Havoc_YT, and he asks, "Will there be an Optic LAN before Champs?"
Yeah, there always is.
That's just it's something you guys always do, so you're gonna do it again.
Yeah, I mean, if we have two teams, it's not even a question. Of course.
Who will win? I asked you this last time you were on here.
Who's gonna win? Hex for sure.
Good point. All right, so the way we close this thing is that I do a 1v1 question. And the 1v1 question is basically anytime I have a pro player on, which is the last, well, Drifter isn't a pro player, had him on, but I ask to put you up against someone else that you know, certain type of game mode, certain map or whatever, and then you have to tell me whether or not you would win against them in a 1v1. So I'm going to pick Sovereign Search and Destroy.
Which one's
1v1.
Sovereign?
The one with the map on Ghosts. I'm going back to Ghosts.
Oh, Ghost Sovereign.
Yeah.
Is that the one with like the rails trains in the middle?
No, it's the
No.
thing that's up top. It's got like what is it called, goalie? I know you can hear me.
Sovereign, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
where there's like control room upstairs.
yeah.
Screen.
That's what I meant upstairs.
Tunnels. Yeah, okay.
What is that thing called? The platform that sticks out. It's called platform. Whatever. Top plat. Whatever.
Yeah. Plat.
So, so you're playing Sovereign 1v1 against Fwiz.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins?
I do.
Search and Destroy.
I do for sure. Well, it's not even a question.
What's the round count?
Not to go too too hard on my boy. I would go round 11. I just outsmart him. He's a little bit overconfident at times, and that's something I love about him. He's overconfident, and overconfidence sometimes leads to irony, sometimes leads you to a very, very good place in life.
Yes, that's a good point. I'm going to take that. That's your next statement that I think is going to go on Twitter.
Overconfidence leads to irony, and it's not mine. It's from A$AP Rock.
Overconfidence,
not A$AP Rocky, like some of you little kids might think. I'm talking about A$AP Rock. AESOPROCK.
Overconfidence leads to irony, but sometimes it leads to, what was the last part you said? Good things, something like that. Anyway, all right. So in order to close out the show, we're going to close it out like we would the STiKS. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to say whatever you want to whoever you want about whatever you want, 30 seconds or less. And I'm going to do the same, and then we'll close out the show.
Okay. Let me know when to go.
You are.
All right. So earlier today, I almost didn't make it here on time simply because I was washing my hair because my hair had a whole bunch of egg in it. The reason it was egg is because we were playing egg roulette at the Optic House for my Loot Crate video tomorrow, which will be live on my YouTube channel, HECZWE. Until next time, guys, as always, this has been Optic X. I'm out. Peace.
And this is your boy Kingdom Soldier. You guys can use Kingdom, of course, to get 10% off your G Fuel. You can use STiKS to get 5% off of your scuff. Thank you, Hex, for coming on the show. And what are you drinking out of your little Advanced Warfare cup?
H2O. Some high quality H2O.
That does look high quality. Wow. Is that bottled, or is that like a bottle that you put in your fridge?
It's a bottle that I put in my fridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a liter, and almost done with. This is my second one today.
That's pretty sophisticated looking. I'd have to.
Yeah, well, it was easier than. I mean, I'm very, very eco-friendly, so I hate using plastic bottles. So
I'm the exact same. If I ever see you at a LAN, will you play basketball with me?
Not only will I play basketball with you, but if it's a 3-point contest, I'll beat you. If it's a game up to 7, I'll beat you. Anything after that, my gas tank is going to be gone, and you probably may beat me on that.
All right, 1v1. I'm gonna 1v1 Hex to 11.
Okay, can I ask you why haven't no 7? Why haven't first official event?
Wait, say that one more time. You're roboting. He's dying.
7. All right.
Are we back on, goalie? Are we live? So what were you asking me,
Okay,
Hex?
so the question is, why haven't you been to a land? Like, what's the matter?
Okay.
You have G Fuel down there sponsoring you,
Yeah.
right? You have somebody else that you push on your very very popular show, Scuff being one of them. What
Uh,
is the problem? Why have are you going to champs?
that is probably not going to happen because I haven't
Why?
tickets. I haven't bought tickets.
What? The-
So I don't have my public and my private life have not. They're not as. This isn't a career for me. I'll say that. It
Okay.
is not where I get my bread from. And for me to leave for an entire weekend for something that doesn't pay me that much, it's like, where am I getting the finances to actually fund myself
Okay.
going on this trip? So,
From I just told you from where. Take yourself a three.
gosh,
Your
I
I guarantee you that if I spoke to your wife, the first thing she would say is that I've told him to go. I
I
told
can't
him.
hear.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Somebody's hitting me off. I can't hear you.
Okay.
I think it's me that's the problem.
All I'm saying, let me know.
Hex is trying to school me, and I can't listen.
All right. Well, that's fine.
Who is this person?
The thing is that okay, who's hosting the? Well, no, I'm.
Goalie, fix it.
I mean, I'm hosting this. Aren't you the one that's live though?
Fix it, goalie.
Because
All right, and we're back. I had to switch to mobile. I don't know what's going on. But we're back. And Hex was asking me
why
why I
haven't
have
you gone
not
to Atlanta?
been to a LAN. And I said some excuse about not being able to afford it, blah, blah, blah.
And then I
Um,
said, I
I
just
didn't hear
told
what
you
you
where to
said.
get. I just told you where to get the money from. You're pushing a product on your very popular show, and
Mm-hmm.
you have two sponsors. You have Scuff, and you
Mm-hmm.
have the
G
other one,
Fuel.
G Fuel.
Yeah.
Have you reached out and said, "Hey, dudes, I really want to make it to champs. It's very important for the show for me to get a couple of interviews that I will then later display on my thing. Is give
I
me
have
some
not.
money, pay for my trip there, and you pay for my hotel to go there." And then I can guarantee you that if I talk to your wife, she would be like, "I've been telling him to get out of here and to go to an event." Guarantee you. I guarantee you that that'd be the first things that she would say.
So basically, I need to hit up my sponsors and see about going to. Well, the funny thing about Champs is that they could basically just pay for for how much is the package or whatever to get in?
$50.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can probably get that because I could technically drive to Champs. It would take a lot longer. It would take more time, but I
Huh?
could drive to Champs, and then when I get there, I could try to stay with my stepdad, depending on where in LA Champs is at. But there's I was gonna go to UMG Cali for sure. Like that was I was gonna make an attempt to go there. Of course, Champs would be better, but so maybe I will take your advice and try to make that happen. No
Always take my
excuses.
advice.
No excuses.
Best
Excuses
advice I
are
could ever give you is always take my advice.
the best advice is to always take your advice. I got you. Anyway, as we close out the show, thank you, Hex, for coming on. As always, I'm really, really happy for the success that you guys are seeing right now on Advanced Warfare. It makes it very easy to predict who's going to win these lands. And you may not know this, but if Nade Shot is on Optic Gaming, which he is, and they win champs, he will have won more money playing competitive Call of Duty than Patrick Price. I think he's about $50,000 behind him right now, and he will have won more at that point, and he'll just be the champion of everything. And so I appreciate the fact that, like you said, he always puts himself second, even though he is first. And
Mhm.
I think that that's an inspiration for all of us, even though some people just I think there's something inside of some people that just they think it was easy. Like he just got it. He happened to be in the right place at the right time. That's part of it, but it was who he was. It's who Nate Shot is that has garnered his personal success.
It
And
took him, and everybody always says that, and just recently, being the good dude that I am, I started listening a little bit more to the music that they listen to. You know, you ask me who the best rappers in the world are, I'm going to tell you something completely different, right? So
yeah,
the
yeah.
era that I grew up in, the Wu Tangs of the world, the Mob Deeps of the world,
Oh
Tribe Called
yeah.
Quest, right?
Oh, nobody in this
These
chat knows about Mob
these
Deep.
these guys these guys are talking about like Big Sean, and Big Sean says is like it took him 6 years to become an overnight success, right? And
Uh,
that's where Nate Shot is, right? It took him close to 5 years to become the overnight success that everybody seems to call him. It's the same with Optic, 2009, 2006 years. It took us 6 years to become an overnight success.
wow. That's actually it's
Think
a good
about
way
that.
to think about it. Took 6 years to become an overnight success. Yeah. Mob Deep. I might have to go listen to man, that's old. That takes me back, man. That was when
Yeah,
I
that's
was
that's that's
living yeah.
that's
I
all I
was living
listen
in
to.
Cali listening to Mob Deep and Nas, even though they were
Don't matter.
um, on the East Coast. I was that
And
was
at that time, it was serious, right? You had to pick sides.
yes, you had to pick sides, and that East Coast West Coast was huge. And then you
Yeah,
had East Coast rappers like Tupac, coming over to the
oh,
West Coast and exhibit.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a West
Oh,
Coast rapper, but he was thought of as an East Coast person for a while because of some of the movies and stuff he did, like in the Juice days and Poetic
yep.
Justice and stuff like that. Anyway, this has been a great history lesson. 90s. Me and Hex were born in the 80s. Well, actually, in 80.
1980,
I
exactly
just
on the 80.
I just revealed our age. I didn't know
I'm
you were a
cool.
little bit
Everybody,
older than me, but happy birthday
35.
or
Yeah,
belated birthday.
yeah.
And congratulations on, like myself, being about 10 years older than most of the people in our community, but still entertaining them and having fun and being successful. Uh,
Thank you.
I want to be around as long as I can to help set an example and thankful for people like yourself and Hastro and guys that have just been around, even Foreplay, that have been around for a minute and have made good decisions in the forefront or behind the scenes to make a way for all of these others that are making a killing off of the platform that you laid. So I appreciate it, bro.
Of
This is your
course.
boy Kingdom Soldier and Goalie and Hector, and we will see you guys next time on the STiKS 1v1 or the STiKS on Monday. Peace out.